tales for dark nights.
The following performance is a second-round entry in the 2016 Evil Idol competition, and you, the listener, get to help decide who wins. Like what you hear? Click the thumbs up. Don't care for it? Click the thumbs down. Good luck to all of our contestants.
Jennifer, written by Jeffrey Ebright, performed by Maribel Linares for Chilling Tales for Dark Nights and the Evil Idol competition. Old Joe lowered his well-worn New Orleans Saints cap to fight the sun. It was another great day for a garage sale, and his business was booming. "Hi." Joe tipped up his baseball cap to find a poorly dressed woman with two small children. Her arms were filled with clothes.
"Did you find all you needed?"
Joe smiled at her. "I guess." Her voice was light, almost reluctant. Joe leaned forward in his battered lawn chair.
"Let's see what you got."
With that, the young mother dropped her armload of clothing into Joe's lap. As he counted up the clothes, the older child, no more than 6, began circling around his mother, singing Itsy Bitsy Spider, while the younger child, about 4, stood dutifully by his mother.
"And 50 cents brings a total of $7.25.
Joe opened up a big plastic bag and started stuffing the clothes. $7.25? Her voice was nervous.
"Yep."
She dug into her pockets, producing a few bills, change, and lint. "I'm not sure I've got," she trailed off, counting in honest panic. "I've got $6.37. Joe looked at the girl as he pulled a Marlboro from his shirt pocket. She looked genuinely mortified by her situation. He also noticed a black eye poorly hidden by makeup. The children were still in their own little world. Joe did not fail to notice the younger child had 5 large circular bruises on his forearm, definitely delivered from a hand much bigger than the frail thing that stood before him, 78 cents short. Joe fired up the Marlboro and looked up at her fearful face.
$5 will do me fine."
He passed her the bag. "Are you sure?" She was dumbfounded. "I live just down the street. I get paid on Wednesday. I'm sure I could—"
"Don't sweat it."
Joe cut her off.
"Besides, I could use all the good caramel I can get."
"Thank you." The fear and embarrassment melted into what Joe figured was a happy smile, seldom used.
"Don't mention it."
"Mommy," the oldest tugged at her sleeve. "Can I have something?" His eyes were bright and innocent. "Tommy," her voice was pained. "Mommy got you clothes." "Clothes stink." He kicked at the driveway. "Want toys." "Yeah, toys," the youngest echoed. "Not you too, Max." She knelt down. "I can only afford clothes today. Maybe next week we can get you each a toy, okay?" She tried to keep the other onlookers out of the conversation by talking quietly.
"Excuse me, ma'am."
Joe jumped in.
"I got a solution to this."
"I'm sorry, you've already done enough for me. I couldn't—" Joe waved away her protest.
"Just had a guy come through. Bought us all the toys I had. Got a good price, too. He missed a few. They're paid for. Don't see why your kids can't have them."
With that, Joe reached under his faithful lawn chair. From below, a worn, molded plastic fire truck appeared in his nicotine-stained hand.
"Hey there, Max. I think this is yours."
"Wow!" Max took the truck and stared at it mesmerized.
"Don't think I forgot you, Tommy."
He reached under the chair once again, producing a battered wiffle ball and bat. "Thanks, mister." Tommy beamed. Cool! He showed his new acquisition to his mom. I don't know what to say. Her eyes began tearing.
No problem.
He took another drag off the Marlboro.
Looks like it could use a toy, too.
No thanks. As long as my kids are happy, I don't... She stared at the object Joe held out to her. A beautiful terracotta flower box. Not too big for the windowsill in her kitchen. She had actually looked at it, but she could have sworn it was down the driveway. Joe set it into her unencumbered hand.
It's got a crack. Small one.
He shrugged and took another drag. Thank you. But how did you...
You just look like somebody who likes plants is all.
Thank you, was all she could manage to say to Joe. Let's get moving, guys. Daddy's gonna be home soon. Gotta get supper ready. Let's go. The children went back to their oblivious world with their new toys as their mother led them down the drive. Joe watched them get to the end of the drive where their mother stopped them. Thank you! They yelled at the top of their lungs, waved, and continued on their way home. Joe smiled, waved back, and settled into his battered lawn chair. Jennifer Logan shuffled her happy brood down the street towards home. She had just managed, thanks to that strange, sweet old man, to outfit the kids for further adventures at the YMCA playground. She couldn't help but to smile at the gift of the flower box, although the kids would probably have it broken before anything managed to grow in it. Once in the house, she became a Tasmanian devil, whirling about the house for last-minute cleaning. Into the kitchen she blurred, preparing the night's feast. It was 4:47. Gary would be home by 6. At 5:58, Gary walked into the house, confronted by the delicious smell of mushroom gravy steak and butter rolls. His permanent scowl scanned the room like a jungle soldier looking for snipers.
Aspirin,
he grumbled, and held out his hand. Jennifer, as she had many times before, put 2 Tylenol in his hand and offered an unopened Michelob. He threw the pills back, popped the beer cap, and gulped half the bottle.
Thanks.
He gave Jennifer a peck on the cheek and left to hang up his jacket. He returned wearing a pair of sweats. By the time he returned from the bedroom, Jennifer, Max, and Tommy were seated at the table, ready to eat.
What's that?
Gary jabbed his fork in the direction of Max's fire truck towards the end of the meal. Jennifer could feel her nervousness starting. We went to a garage sale up the street. I bought some play clothes for the kids.
Don't look like clothes to me,
Gary said between shovels of food. The old man who was running it gave the kids some toys. It didn't cost us any money. He just gave the toys to them. Free. She tried not to look at him, focusing on her meal.
You don't get something for nothing. How much did you spend?
$5. Quickly adding, I got 3 outfits apiece for the kids, and a few things for me to wear too.
Jennifer,
Gary's scowl deepened.
We can't afford it. We're barely making ends meet as it is.
He took another swallow of Michelob. It was only $5, she said weakly. It would have cost 10 times as much at a real store.
5 or 50,000. We can't afford it.
He grabbed another slab of mushroom steak.
Take it back tomorrow.
Honey, you can't take back stuff you bought at a garage sale. Jennifer picked up the kids' empty plates and took them to the sink. Then, as she began the water for dishes, and it was only $5.
What?
His tone was cold, ice cold. She knew what would come next. Kids, time for bed. She waved them from the dinner table. Go. The children had seen that look in Mommy's eyes too many times before. They quickly scattered down the hall. She went back to the sink, but found herself whipped around to face the man she had married.
What did you say to me?
His eyes had gone shark black. I used my own money, she said weakly. But it was no use. Gary, as he had many times before, was in the mood to dish out a beating. Jennifer had, once again, unwittingly volunteered.
That's not the point.
His grip tightened on her upper arms.
I work 60 hours a week, and all I ask is for a little respect. That's it. Just some common, goddamn respect. Do I get it? No. Here you are spending money we don't have, buying those no-good brats of yours toys. Toys! You've got a whole fucking room full of toys. What's the difference if they don't have another one? Spoiled fucking brats. Jesus Christ, you can be so goddamn stupid sometimes.
He let her go and walked to the fridge. She knew it wasn't over. It was just a beer break. He turned and focused on the flower box.
I suppose you got that for free, too?
Yes. Her voice was almost non-existent.
Bullshit! You probably spread your legs for that old bastard, huh?
You know I would never do that. Before the words could leave her mouth, his hand smacked them back down her throat. She dropped to the floor like dirty laundry.
I knew this would happen!
He took another swig.
You were nothing but a whore in high school. Hell, you gave it up to me on the first date.
He walked to the sill and picked up the heavy flower box. He looked over the terracotta and smiled.
You must have let him get a good piece for this.
With that, the box went airborne. It slammed against the kitchen wall in an explosion of thick pottery. Shards littered the floor around her like thistle in a field. "Please, don't," was all Jennifer could muster as he pulled her up by the hair.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna wash you with bleach to get rid of the stink of that old bastard. Then I'm gonna have my way with you till you bleed. What do you think about that, you fucking slut?
"Don't you hurt Mommy!" Tommy stood defiantly, wiffle bat in hand. Max followed up the rear, clutching the fire truck to his chest. "Go back to bed, baby. Mommy's all right," Jennifer sniffed. "No, Daddies don't hurt Mommies. Yeah," echoed Max.
So you think you're a badass now?
Gary's grin was a malicious, toothy mask.
Maybe you're right, badass. Maybe I shouldn't hit Mommy like this.
His meaty fist sank into her stomach, which put her to the floor again. The children advanced on him and began a futile bashing of Gary's shins. Both children found themselves flying across the floor. Gary picked up the wiffle bat and turned back to his loving wife.
Guess where this is going, you no-good whore.
The next events moved in slow motion for Jennifer, although it must have taken less than 2 seconds. Jennifer could see his blind rage, just as she saw her terror reflected in Gary's black eyes. He moved in for the kill, like a lion to its prey. For some inexplicable reason, Gary did not notice the bright red fire truck discarded on the kitchen floor. His eyes widened in surprise as his legs slipped out from under him, compliments of the fire truck. Being in a state of partial drunkenness, he released the wiffle bat, hoping he could use both hands to break the fall. Gary slammed into the kitchen floor with all his weight, but it was a shard of the planter that intervened between Gary and the floor. The flower box fragment tore through the back of his neck. Gary spent 10 hours on the operating table, where doctors labored to save Mrs. Logan's husband. It was all dedicated to the tenacity of the doctors that a medical miracle was achieved. Gary's life was saved. However, his partially severed spinal cord made him an instant quadriplegic. The jagged piece of broken planter didn't just remove his ability to walk, sit, throw, beat, pummel, and abuse his wife. It also pierced his voice box, shredding his vocal cords and removing his ability to speak. For a while, Jennifer blamed herself, but that soon evaporated with the harsh responsibility of a single-parent household. Jennifer also conceded the VA could take care of Gary's specific needs better than she ever could. The government was even nice enough to send a generous disability check to Jennifer every month. In the following years, she would visit her husband on their wedding anniversary. She never brought the kids to the VA hospital. It was a cold, lonely place. Jennifer would dress in the same garage sale jumper she had purchased from old Joe when she visited Gary. She would pull up a plastic hospital chair and sit next to his bed. After 10 silent minutes, Gary realized she would not touch him or talk to him any more than she had done in previous visits. Thick tears would stream down his gaunt face, accompanied by a wheezing sob as he pleaded with his eyes, a mixture of rage and hopelessness. 20 minutes later, she would get up from the chair and leave as quietly as she came. It seemed a cruel thing to do, but it was all for the best. Gary could never apologize for his sins, and as long as he lived, she would continue to do her wifely duty and visit him. Jennifer promised herself she would eventually forgive him. And 18 years later, when Gary finally died, she did.
Thanks for listening. If you haven't already, don't forget to cast your vote for this contestant via a thumbs up or thumbs down vote. By doing so, you'll help us determine who will become the next permanent member of our voice acting team. At the close of voting on August 15th, based on your votes, the top 25 contestants will advance to the third round, which begins September 1st, based entirely on your votes. Thank you for voting and for helping to spread the word. You're listening to Chilling Tales for Dark Nights. I'm Steve Taylor, host of Chilling Tales, the podcast, encouraging you to turn off the lights and turn on the dark.
Chilling Tales for Dark Nights.